Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today. And today we're going to be recapping the Houston Rockets 2023 offseason. It was a very good offseason for the Houston Rockets, but the offseason is nearing to an end. As in 10 days, the Houston Rockets are back. The Houston Rockets on October 3rd, which is 10 days away, will be back and be at training camp. I'm pretty sure October 3rd is when it starts, training camp, and I think the day before, October 2nd, is media day. I love media day every year. It gives the feeling like basketball's back and like training camp and preseason is what's on the horizon, and just to see all the players back in their uniforms after not seeing that for a while, and just to be hearing them talk about basketball. I love media day, and I can't wait for media day for the Houston Rockets, and I do believe that is on October 2nd, and they usually always go to Galveston for this. I've never been able to go, but maybe I don't know if they hold it to the public. I don't think they hold it to the public, but yeah. So we're gonna recap the offseason. We're gonna recap the additions to this team that they made in the offseason with free agency, trades, and draft, and their departures. And I'm gonna grade their offseason, and I'm also gonna, when I finish the video, I'm gonna tell you guys how many wins I think the Rockets end up this season. All right. So, the additions. The big additions in free agency, Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks. Fred VanVleet signed the massive 3-year, $133 million deal from the Toronto Raptors, one-time All-Star. He's going to be great for the Rockets, good three-point shooter, great defender, and will be a great starting point guard for the Houston Rockets. Then, adding in from Memphis on a 4-year, $80 million deal, with more money added in incentives, Dillon Brooks from free agency. He's looked great in the FIBA World Cup, and I can't wait to have him on this team. He's not my favorite person, but I like him as a player. He goes out there every night, and he's not always he can be a dirty player sometimes, but he's a great defensive player, and I think he will be a good addition to this Rockets team. Then some of the other smaller additions in free agency, which I think will be good additions. Jock Landale from the Phoenix Suns, who we signed to a 4-year, $32 million deal, which only the first year is guaranteed, by the way. He had a good season in Phoenix last year as their backup center. And I think this will be a good upgrade for the Houston Rockets at backup center this year compared to last year with Usman Garuba. I like Usman. He's a very cool dude. He's a good player. He's a good three-point shooter for a center. But I think Jock Landale is a way better player than I think Landale's a way better player than Garuba, and I don't think you will find pretty much anybody that disagrees with that statement. Then other free agency additions. Love to have this veteran back from Denver. Just won the NBA championship. Jeff Green was with the Rockets in the 2019-20 season. Joined them, I believe. You remember. If you're not a new Rockets fan, Rockets were never that big on the trade deadline when they were winning with James Harden and Russell Westbrook, and they were always big and very active on the buyout market. And in 2020, in the buyout market, I think this was March, the Rockets signed Jeff Green, who was recently waived or bought out by the Utah Jazz, picked him up, and he was terrible that year. I mean, terrible. He was terrible before he joined the Rockets. He was starting to look like he was starting to get washed because he was getting into his older years. And then he joined Houston, and he started balling out with the Rockets and looked really good with Houston Rockets in the 2019-20 season for the rest of the time he spent with the Rockets that season. And then going into the bubble, he was great. And I'm glad to have Jeff Green back. He's a classy dude, and everybody loves Jeff Green. And then another addition I think will come handy at the guard position with Kevin Porter Jr., on his way out. I don't know. Should I include him on the departures? I don't have him on there, but he's soon going to be a departure. Another guy I think was a great addition, signing on a 1-year, $4 million deal, is Aaron Holiday from the Atlanta Hawks. He's a solid guard. Had some good years with the Pacers. Last couple years in the NBA haven't been great ever since he left the Pacers, but had a solid year with the Hawks last year. I think he averaged like 5 or 6 points per game. It was a cheap deal. I think he'll be a good guard to play some solid minutes for the Rockets. This is not an addition because he was already on the team, but this was another move the Rockets made in free agency, was re-signing Boban Marjanovic to a $2.8 million deal on a 1-year contract. Love that move. Rockets fans love Boban Marjanovic, and I think he will be great for this team. Probably will not play a lot, but this team, not only does the team love Boban, but the fans in the city love Boban. The whole NBA loves Boban. You're not going to find a lot of people that don't like Boban. He's one of the most liked players in the NBA. And then the draft. The 4th overall pick, Amen Thompson from the G League. And then you have Cam Whitmore in the draft, who went to... Where did he go? He didn't go to Duke, did he? I think he went to Duke. Cam Whitmore, the 20th overall pick. He's one of the most underrated players in this draft, and my opinion, he was the steal of the draft. He was a guy that was projected to go in the area of 5th to 9th overall in the draft, and he fell all the way to 20 to these Houston Rockets. I think he is going to be a great addition. And then here are the departures from the Houston Rockets this year. I'm still contemplating if I'm going to include Kevin Porter Jr. on the list. He's okay, starting with departures, we're going to start with Kevin Porter Jr. He is not an official departure, but he is on his way out after he was arrested a couple weeks ago, and now it's been reported, I think maybe 2 or 3 days after he got arrested, the Houston Rockets, it was reported by Shams that the Rockets are trying to trade Kevin Porter Jr. and draft compensation for a player, and the Rockets are still working on that. They still haven't made a deal with anybody yet. I think it's going to be hard, and it might take some time. And honestly, I really wouldn't be surprised if, the Rockets still haven't made a trading away Kevin Porter Jr. by the time training camp starts. It's going to be hard to find somebody that wants to take on Kevin Porter's contract, when he's dealing with this legal issue. And I've read that a couple teams are willing to take on that contract because of the draft compensation, but at the same time, it's hard to find teams that are willing to take the draft compensation and KPJ, the player with the bad contract, with the legal issues, and give up a player. But I think the Rockets might be able to make something work. I've looked a lot and thought about a lot about Evan Fournier from the New York Knicks, because the New York Knicks are pretty much done with him. I think he'd be a good addition for the Rockets. But he is about to be a departure, but not officially. Then the actual departures for this Houston Rockets team. Kenyon Martin Jr. in a trade with the Los Angeles Clippers. Josh Christopher in a trade with the Memphis Grizzlies. Ty Washington trade. Usman Garuba trade. That was a trade with the Atlanta Hawks. And then Frank Kaminsky in free agency. So nothing huge there. I think the only huge departure will be Kenyon Martin Jr., but at the same time, the Rockets have so much talent at that forward position. You're going to see more of Jae'Sean Tate this year. He'll be more healthy, adding in Jeff Green, adding in Cam Whitmore. Tari Eason and Jabari Smith Jr. are there in their second years, so they're going to be better, adding in Dylan Brooks. So it's not going to be great being without KJ. That's a huge departure because he was so good for this team last year. But look at how much they've improved at that forward position, adding in Cam Whitmore, Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green. Jae'Sean Tate will be more healthy, and then Jabari and Tari going into their second years in the NBA. I think it's fine. KJ, we'll miss him. He was a great player for this team, but I think this team is improved now, and there was really no point of having KJ on the roster. So you guys know your thoughts on the Houston Rockets offseason. I mean, we're still 10 days away from training camp, and I still wouldn't be surprised if you see the Rockets make 2 moves going into training camp. You're definitely going to see them make 1. They still have 1 roster spot open, and that's not because of Kevin Porter Jr. They have 14 standard contracts right now, and they could have 15 standard contracts going into training camp. So they still have 1 roster spot open going into training camp. So not only do I think they will sign a player before training camp starts, just don't know who that is. My bet would be it is a guard, but not only do I see them signing a player, but you could also potentially see the Kevin Porter Jr. trade happen before training camp starts. I know I said I don't see that happening, but it is possible. So, I mean, because it is only 10 or 11 days before training camp starts, but the offseason is near to an end. It was a good offseason for these Houston Rockets, adding in Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and biggest addition, Ime Udoka at head coach, and other pieces like Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore in the draft, and some other pieces in free agency like Jeff Green and Jock Landau. But departures like first-round picks and draft picks we made like KJ Martin, Usman Garuba, Josh Christopher, and Ty Washington. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed them, your thoughts, and peace out. Go Rockets.